All right, guys, welcome back to the shack. Today, I've got a project I'm gonna be working on with my daughter. She's asked me to help her get a new herb garden. We built one a few years ago just out of some scrap materials that I had laying around. It was mostly plywood, and I think I had 3 or 4 2x4s that we built it out of, and she's had it for several years. She's grown her herbs in it every year since we built it. And so she's asked me to build a little bit bigger one, a little stronger, a little sturdier than the one we had before. So that's the project. You may have seen the mock-up that I did here recently in Fusion 360, where I kind of drew it out, and that's going to be my go-by. Now, guys, according to my track record, I'll probably wind up varying from the design before it's over with, but that is the plan. I'm going to replicate what I built in there using the measurements that I came up with in Fusion 360 and try to make this thing work. So the first thing we're going to do is we're fixing to go get in the truck, go get the lumber. We'll be back, and when we get back, we're going to get started building on this thing and see what we can get made. So stick around. All right, guys, during this video, I had a heck of a time with my audio. I was trying not to be handling the cameras and messing with the cameras a whole lot, spending the day working on something with my daughter, and don't get to do that very often. So I kind of neglected my camera, messed up the audio, so I'm gonna do the best I can to salvage this thing and piece it together and make it make sense. But you'll get to see the process of how I go from the plans that I made on Fusion 360 to the finished product, and something that my daughter really likes. So let's see how it goes. All right, guys, we got back from getting the plastic, and we'll show you. That's all the scrap wood. You got that one little piece of 1x4, and then those little pieces down there. I don't know if you can see them, but they're right by the fire over there. So, fix to get ready to put the plastic in and get this thing ready for some rock and dirt. All right, thought I'd bring you over before we put the plastic in and kind of give you a look of what the inside's like. Wound up, I had this basically just stood up there until we got the 1x's in, but it's got 12-inch 1x4s that go all the way around that connect this top rim to the bottom. And these are the wall. There's a 2x4 at the bottom that they screw to, and they screw to this ridge 2x4 here. So we're gonna put the plastic in there, and I've left myself just enough room to use that remaining 1x4 to make some strips to secure the plastic to this outer frame. So that's what we're fixing to do now. All right, guys, I don't know how well you can see it, but we got the plastic in, got the little piece of 1-inch border around through here that basically holds the plastic and sets it out even with the boards that we put on the inside. We got it plastic lined all the way around. The one thing that we will be doing is I'm gonna weight it first before I cut the bottom. But once we get the dirt in here, I'm gonna let this thing push through these cracks in the bottom, and then we'll take and go underneath it and use something to cut the plastic to allow water to be able to pour out the bottom if it needs to, in case it rains and gets too much water in here. That'll allow the extra water to get out. But there will be a layer of gravel, because my place is basically a gravel pit. You'll have a layer of gravel down at the bottom, probably about 3 or 4 inches deep. Then I'll have a layer of sand on the top of that, 3 or 4 inches deep. And then the rest is going to be composted dirt and potting soil and that type of thing that she's going to put in here. So, got it working and very little scrap. All right, guys, we got the project completed, and this is all the scrap that we generated, other than a whole lot of sawdust, which I just got through cleaning up. But yeah, guys, this was my first build wearing these things, and I will say they're pretty awesome. I wanted a way to where I could listen to my music while I'm doing builds, but yet still record without getting strikes. And I finally found it. So they work pretty well. It takes the edge off of all the tools. You can still hear them run, but it definitely is gonna help save my ears over a period of time. So I'll put a link down below, but these are the ISO tunes. These are the newest ones that have the awareness built into them, where you can still hear what's going on, but it chokes everything down to a safe level. But I'll try to bring you along once we get this thing in place and Abby gets her herbs put in it, and it looks a little more useful. Right now we're just waiting. Tomorrow we're going to put the gravel down, put the sand down, put all the dirt in it. But first, before we do all that, we're going to get it located to where it's going to go, because I will be having to use the pallet forks and the tractor to move it, because it's quite heavy and I just don't feel like tugging on it. So I'll update you when we get that thing moved into position. So thanks for coming, and have a good night.